Section 194 Committee Chairperson Qubudile Dyantyi says suspended Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane has failed to meet another crucial deadline concerning the inquiry into her fitness to hold office. Mkhwebane has also not indicated if she will be making any final closing arguments pertaining to the allegations in the motion before the committee. Dr. Dyantyi does join me now online to discuss this further. Thank you very much for joining us. So she's missed quite a lot of deadlines. If I remember, there was a deadline, for instance, for the 22nd of June, then you moved it to the 25th of June, then there were more questions. And last week, of course, on the 7th of July, there was another deadline. So what does this mean? Are you just going to conclude?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Maseko, and your ENCA viewers. All of the four deadlines that we set, which is from the 19th of June, 22nd of June, 25th of June, and now the 7th of July, which was about her to indicate whether she would do oral or written closing argument. She missed all of that, and therefore we no longer have got any further deadlines except when we draft the report and we give her about 7 to 10 days to comment on it. That's the only thing that is left. So what it means now is that we supposed on the 20th of July to have the evidence leaders do what we call the summation of the report. And that summation of the report would have then have waited to take into account the closing arguments. You don't have those closing arguments which are supposed to be done today and tomorrow. And so we've got time that would not have kind of budgeted for, and there will be no need to wait for the 20th of July. There will be no reason for me not to ask the evidence leaders to do that much earlier, and which will then also affect the 28th of July is a date, which is our last date for us to produce a report. And if we're able to have this time, we could also have a draft report produced much earlier than anticipated.
And of course, this also means because of the extensions, etc., the budget had to also just be stretched a little bit because the days just kept on being added.
Yes. Even though once we changed course and then we said we introduced new amended directives, which then asked that everything be done in writing, it meant that there would have been no need for issues of accommodation. There would have been no need of issues of having a physical meeting where you need catering and all of those things. So a lot of the things would have been saved. So even from that 4 million, she would not have traveled to Cape Town and issues of accommodation and everything else. So this process also saved a lot of the cost that would have been spent in that regard. So we're quite happy with that. So we're still within budget, we're still within the time, and we hope that we'll finish things much earlier.
With regards to her missing deadlines, etc., Mr. Dyantyi, what do you think as the committee chairperson? Is it a matter of disrespecting the process?
I've said it as much, Maseko, that her conduct has become disrespectful, not to the chair, not to Qubudile Dyantyi as a chair, but to an important institution, which is the National Assembly Parliament, the Public Protector, and not just Ms. Mkhwebane. All public protectors account to Parliament. For her to just have ignored that, in other words, this is an oversight or an exercise in accountability. She just decided she's not going to account because it's Parliament that recommends for her appointment. It's also Parliament that recommends for her removal. So I regard it as a lost opportunity for her, but as well as, and I would have said, we're gravely concerned about the fact that she did this. It's disrespectful, but we also think that the questions are not complicated, that she would not have done this. She just chose not to do it.
Just lastly, Mr. Dyantyi, Are you covered as the committee when you ask advice from your legal teams if the public protector or the suspended public protector, for instance, if your report goes against her and she decides to take you to court? What are your lawyers saying? Would you be covered in having a final report and recommendations without her submissions?
She still has an opportunity, even after we've produced a report, even after the National Assembly adopts and make decisions. There's something that is called a review. She can review. She can go to court for the review of that report. But we have done our work in such a way, Masego, that we have maintained the basics. We have been very consistent. We are very confident that procedurally, we have been fair and our entire process has been rational. We would not be found wanting by any court in terms of the things that we're able to do. We're not worried in terms of that.
All right, Mr. Dyantyi, thank you very much for your time once more here on ENCA. Qubudile Dyantyi, the chairperson of that Section 194 committee inquiry into the suspended public protector's fitness to hold office.